Okay, bigger footy time. Just want to give kudos initially to the Division 2 sides for their efforts over the round. We had one upset, the Swans taking the reigning premiers and getting some revenge from the grand final last year. And the Demons nearly banana peeled the Dogs and ended their season. Carlton had an almighty run back at the Suns, but a couple of sides hanging on. I've been living in the Bailey's ladder app predictor in the AFL app, something chronic over the last 48 hours. It's all to play for, boys. I've got Josh Jenkins in the studio and Link with me. Leggy's over in LA with Shaq and doing some work.
Is he?
Yes, with a great man. So we'll check in with him
Been
next
a
week.
stop-start introduction to the pod for Leggy, hasn't it?
I know.
He commanded a presence, and now he's unsighted.
Forgot to mention he had some overseas travel booked in, but
anyway,
he'll come back refreshed and ready to go for the finals. But yeah, how's your weekend, boys? What was your footy intake like?
Yeah, I had a couple of games live. Essendon Geelong, which was pretty lacklustre. The Bombers put up a pretty good fight considering what we expected. The Jezza Cameron chase to 100 probably ended, if we're honest. And then I had actually flex scheduled myself off GWS North onto Adelaide West Coast. Now, it was more about just some family commitments, but turned into a really good game. West Coast, I don't think Adelaide played down to West Coast. I actually think West Coast played up.
Yeah.
And brought great energy in the game. The crowd got involved. The pressure that the Eagles were able to bring was immense. So well done in a way to Adelaide. Matthew Nick sort of said it felt like a loss. I hated hearing that. And he and Jordan Dawson got together straight away. I'm thinking to myself, just go and enjoy it. There's plenty of time for that. But they basically sewn up top two, so there'll be a qualifying final in Adelaide that someone's got to go and deal with. So that's going to be a handful. So that was my live footy experiences on the weekend, and then I watched most of the others. Link.
I had a vested interest in the Thursday night Hawthorn Collingwood, as I do most weeks with the Pies, and then I had the early Saturday slot, the two teams that went at it, Richmond and St Kilda, which is the Patto Cup. So going off the back of that, I also I worked at the Carlton Suns game. I didn't go in with much hope, but Carlton had some moments, and it was much better than I went in expecting. Francis Evans probably earned himself another year at the Blues at least. He was really exciting for the Blues, but Matt Rowell and the Suns were just too good in the end.
He's a good user of the footy, Evans.
I played with him at the Cats, and I was telling people when he went to Port, and then the Cats, he there's an AFL player in there somewhere. He always showed, particularly VFL level, that he's a great finisher, set shots and delivering the ball inside 50, but maybe the pressure of the situation, pressure of AFL footy hasn't been able to show it. But his ball use and his finishing the other night was sensational.
Two from outside 50.
Yeah, and that's what he always did show. At VFL level, he was one of the best. You know, if you line up and have a goal kicking combat training, he was one of the best set shots that the Cats had. But it's one thing to do it at training, another to do it in the game. So well done to him, because, he might have won himself an extension on his contract and another 12 months. So, it was a good little contest, that one. The Saints and Richmond, that wasn't – let's get that out of the way. If you've got anything to offer.
Well, no, we don't really want to mention too much, but it's a little bit footy and friends here, but if I can self-insert into this one, Tony Greenberg, a great man, used to work at Richmond in the media area. He always releases the Richmond Saints Team of the Century, which is not an actual team, but I'm still hanging on the bench in that team. So
as in players who have played for both.
Players who have played for both.
Right. Who are some of the headline acts that have played for both?
You got Rex Hunt, Ian Stewart, 3-time Brownlow medalist.
Any recent ones?
Dean Polo, Dan Butler.
Zilla the Killer.
Dan Butler, of course.
I'm pretty happy that I've actually made
Jack Higgins
made some sort of team.
Yes,
Jack Higgins, Dean Polo, Aaron Fiora.
Oh, so there's plenty.
Yeah, there's plenty. But big shout out to Tony Greenberg.
Wasn't much of a game.
No, I couldn't believe it.
What do you make, just quickly, this is probably philosophically speaking for teams down the bottom, because it was West Coast in the second half with Isaac Rankin as well. He went completely berserk in the second half, and I want to talk about his use or lack of use. Adamuze was called out for not tagging Nasiah, and the reality is, if you restrict him to 15% less output, they probably do win the game.
Yeah.
But Adamuze wants to teach his players how to play the game first and foremost. What do you make of the, I guess, accusation that you're not trying to win if you're not tagging him?
Yeah,
Because not all teams tag.
it's a big accusation, isn't it?
Well, it's
tanking.
It's not an accusation of tanking, but it's in that moment. If you are trying every single thing to win the game, you would probably sit on him.
Do they have someone to go with him?
Well, that's the other element. Is just because he should be tagged, it doesn't mean you can tag him with someone who can run. Jack Ross has been doing their jobs, but there's no chance Jack Ross would have been able to run with Nasiah. So it's an interesting one because, as I mentioned, Rankin had 3 disposals at halftime in that game against West Coast, had 20 and a goal in the second half. Same thing.
It was quite early.
They lose that game by 9 points. If they sit on him and he doesn't have that impact in the if he has 10 in the second half instead of 20, the Eagles probably win. But do you have anyone who can run with him? Different conversation. So it's interesting because those teams down the bottom, there isn't a lot of motivation to win the games. Let's be honest.
No, exactly. Well, I mean, their draft hand sorted. So, yeah, I think Richmond would have liked to have won that one, obviously, and keep the momentum going. But I don't know. I think they had him under control early in the game, but
he was a slow starter.
Yeah, as a Richmond fan, you'd probably like to see someone a bit tighter.
Do Richmond have anything to play for against North this week if they've already got their draft pick guaranteed from the swap last year? That's probably the perfect example where they can just teach Uze. It's probably the opposite, actually. Uze can just say, teach his boys
Just
how to play because it doesn't matter if they lose because
Yeah.
they still get North's draft pick.
Yeah.
I think when they know they got the Cats last game, they're probably absolutely no chance of winning that. So for the players, like this is their chance to go out with a win. Like,
it'd be their 6th win.
So I think they'd be keen to get the job done.
Their 6th win. I think they deserve a heap of credit. They've been really good. A lot of people are saying that they wouldn't win a game or they wouldn't win many. I certainly didn't think they'd win many.
No.
I thought they'd definitely win a game or two, but they're going to potentially win 6. That game's in Tassie at Hobart, so that'll be a difficult one for them, but they've had a pretty good season realistically. What about all the way back to
should we talk
Thursday?
about Thursday night and the shock, I guess, was Collingwood not rocking up to play. The Hawks look good.
Yeah, that was
Wiz
superb.
jumped them early and the ramifications now for the Pies could potentially miss the 8 if everything didn't go their way. And a huge game, Adelaide in Adelaide, probably the inform side and the hardest interstate trip you would have to say right now.
Yeah.
Link, what are you? Yeah, what are you feeling? What's the vibe coming from Ed and the Collingwood crew?
I haven't
You're not
I
discussing
haven't
it?
got too much information from him. I'm not usually one to prod.
Did he play VFL on the weekend?
No, so they had the VFL had the bye.
Of course
So
they
that's
did.
the other thing. So you're gonna, if they do make any changes this week, you're bringing in players
off
from
no
the
game.
twos who haven't played any games. You've got the team off. The AFL teams had the longer break. It's probably you have to find the balance there because they'll have a lot of players who haven't played footy in 2 weeks. Collingwood, and then the Crows have gone Sunday to Saturday, so they've got the 6-day break, which JJ,
Plus
as you
the
say,
travel back
is
from Perth.
basically the 5, and then the travel.
Yeah.
So it's almost too much break versus too little break. So it'll be
Yeah.
interesting, but yeah, they were really disappointing.
No Jeremy Howe. That's going to be a loss that's felt. Now, I've got no doubt that impacted them in a sense, seeing him go down, but it impacted Hawthorn and the crowd as well. It wasn't like it was just the Collingwood players who were impacted by that collision early in that game. I felt they picked an imbalanced team before the game, and I was certain one of Mitchell or Long would have been the sub because of that reason. But that's the risk. That's the risk and that's why when people say you can pick a tall team because we'll just sub one of them out, sometimes you don't get to do that. Sometimes an injury happens in the first minute of the game and you're then hamstrung. And Collingwood were hamstrung because they couldn't have Mitchell and Long and Pendlebury on the field at the same time.
I think it was McStay went and played down back, and then Long was playing almost as a defensive forward.
Yeah.
So that's setting someone up to fail because that's not something
they're trying to not hide him, but they're trying to have him on the field so they can have Mitchell in the midfield and make sure they can still run their normal rotations. That's why I think you have to have someone more versatile and more dynamic as the sub. That's the part that doesn't necessarily make sense to me. I doubt they'll go with that same team. Now they'll say, well, if we play the game how we want to play it, then we can have Pendlebury, Mitchell, Sidebottom, Long in the same team. But it's not a guarantee you're going to be able to play it how you want to play it, particularly with the way their form has dropped off. Behind the ball, they were just, I'm not sure what happened. They were so shaky. Aerially, they were just so poor. Lloyd Meek going to the goal line, taking marks. The spoils that they were able to make were soft and didn't go far. Tapping the ball when you should be grabbing the ball in D50 to set up an early goal to Nick Watson. So behind the ball, they were all at sea. So it'll be interesting to see how they bounce back against the Crows, who the Crows now all of a sudden they've had a game where they've won, but they still want to sharpen their teeth off the back of that game. They didn't play as well as they wanted to. So some problems at Collingwood. To me, it was an event. That 3-week period now it's got to be a trend. 4 out of 5 is a big trend. It's
a long, heavy training phase if that's the reason.
I just don't buy into that one bit.
There was a moment, and it got me thinking around. Nick Watson had a set shot, and most players when they're having a set shot will all go stand on the line or stand slightly to the the furthest behind post and set up that side for the kick. Why don't people come from like Kelshadere to go 20 metres off out to the side and run and hit a pack completely differently from an angle? I feel like people do. The game's been played the same way for so long. Had me start to think around how do you do some things out of the box? Like why don't at a boundary stoppage all the forwards go and set up on the boundary line and work onto a stoppage? Like little things like that. I think smart teams will be able to throw different unique things at different clubs.
Yeah,
that's completely off track. But my mind started going to some different ways that you can try and surprise other teams with things. But
teams just trust their own systems so much, and the coaches, you just don't get time during the year to make drastic changes to the way you play. If you do, it has to be sort of on the whiteboard.
Yeah,
you don't really get more than 20 minutes. The biggest drills of the week, you might spend 12 minutes at a time on them, and you might do 3 of those.
Yeah.
So it's difficult. Now, Collingwood have had a longer break, so they would have had 2 decent training sessions, which is handy because the first one you can do a fair bit more. So they've been able to drill a fair bit of what they wanted to do. I've got no doubt the defenders would have been able to go at it and do some real genuine aerial contests, whereas if that was a 6-day break, they're not doing any contact. So good opportunity for them to bounce back, but all of a sudden, like some good news with the re-signings, Darcy Cameron's going to stay. It looked like, the reports were he was going to go. I wonder if De Goey's ready to really light one up at Adelaide Oval, and they might need that. They might need him to light it up. So he was okay on Thursday night, but it feels like they need him to have a BOG type performance to get them back on track.
Well, the Pies were going in with that 6-day break. Crows are going to go in with a West Coast travel 6-day break into the game on Saturday night.
Yeah.
What's the flight? What's the flight Perth to Adelaide? Do you read much into that?
An hour less than Perth to Melbourne, I think.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely a spot for the Pies, though.
Yeah, they would have. The Crows would have got home late Sunday night. I'm pretty sure. I think they would have got back last night. Adelaide Airport shuts at 11, believe it or not. But I think they would have got back Sunday night, which helps because you wake up Monday, you're back in your own environment. You can go and recover and get ready. So it's a pretty normal week for the Crows. Get Tex Walker back. It's going to be a huge game.
Adelaide haven't beaten Collingwood since 2016.
But they have played them in very close games, very close losses. One at the G. Jordan Dawson should have got a free kick late in that game, which would have been basically a shot to win the game. They've played them close but haven't beaten them, which is
They've won
important.
5 points, 1 point, 2 points, 4 points, 11 points.
Yeah, there you go. It doesn't get much closer. And there was a draw in there in 2017 as well.
The Mitch McGowan game?
We were down, we were down by 50 at the half and came back and drew that game. So they've played them close, but you can play them close and you can beat them. So it'll be an interesting game this Saturday night. I was supposed to be going over to call that game, but got some local footy commitments, so I had to prioritise the local footy. It would have been good to go over there and see that game live. But, if you were gauging your worries on Collingwood, I was a 4 out of 10 before the Hawthorn game, and now I'm 7 or 8. Like now it's genuinely concerning as to whether they can turn this around this close to finals.
Yeah, I've got Adelaide winning this week, but then Adelaide Collingwood first qualifying final over in Adelaide. So this could be a preview for that first week in the finals.
Yeah, wow.
So as long as Collingwood compete, get close, it could be important. Like I don't think they have to win. I think they just need to get their game style back on track. Close loss, get some confidence, and then could be back there in 3 weeks.
I mentioned this on the radio last week after the game on Friday. Memory's a problem for them now, I reckon. 2 weeks in a row, big defenders have gone to him and then bullied him and then been impactful in the air. Harris Andrews, I thought, was one of the best players on the ground the week previous. Tom Barrass went to him and he's just not, because he's not a big key forward, Membry, but he's big enough that he can command a key defender. Barrass went to him and then just sort of moved him out of the way and then was punching the ball away. He didn't take a heap of intercept marks, but he's a bit of a worry. So if you think about, like, if a Worrell goes to him and can get involved taking intercept marks, and that's going to be a bit of a handful. So that's the issue when your form drops off this late in the season. Like, they're wedded to that forward setup, as particularly if they're going to try and move McStay around. So he's going to have to recapture some of his best form. Mychek the same. It's genuine cause for concern because we've got so many players just out of form. Nick Dacos looks a little bit banged up and a little bit sore. The fact he started on the bench, I think they're just trying to keep his loads down a little bit, which the easiest thing to do is start players on the bench rather than say, we want you to finish the quarter on the bench. So I don't have a big problem with that, but he just looks a little bit banged up. So if I'm a Pies fan, I'm nervous.
Yep, fair enough. And what about the flip side for the Hawks? Did you see enough there to suggest they can make a run?
Well, I mean, the game played out exactly like I thought. It was just the wrong, the opposite team doing the business. So they got back to their best. I got no doubt Sam Mitchell stirred them up in terms of their midfield and reminded that everyone's been potting them and saying they're not good enough. So the use of Moore up around the ball and Watson around the ball gives them that dynamic movement that they need. Moore's a great pressure player, great tackler, wins the ball back. Watson, we know what he can do offensively, gets on the fly. D'Ambrosio, Amon, all the flankers, Impey, all those guys who had great seasons last year have got back to some really good form. Ginnivan's playing better footy than we probably thought he was capable of, just winning more of the ball. His work rate's clearly rock solid. Newcomb got back to his best, so he was off the ground for 10 minutes, I think.
He hadn't had 20 touches in a month before Thursday.
And he missed 10 minutes of the first quarter and still had a game-high 28. So he was back to his absolute best as well. Lloyd Meek's a barometer for them. Like, when he's playing well, they are playing well. So for him to, he's not probably going to kick 3 goals in a game again this year, but when he plays well, they look like a really good team. And then the 4 Hawksmen, the 4 Talls. I've tried to make that nickname stick, the 4 Hawksmen. They look good because they are all different. Cal Shadir doesn't need to do that much to have a bit of an impact. Yeah. How teams are still allowing him to have a run and jump, I'll never know, because that's his one skill. Gunston just reads the ball quicker than anyone else. Chol's a good finisher. And I think that's the beauty, particularly of Lewis, Chol and Gunston. They're great finishers. So even if they only get 7 or 8 touches each, they make them count. So, they look good, the Hawks. I mean, they're a team that on a big, spacious ground you'd be nervous playing against. Yeah.
I think Jack Gunston is the best snap set shot for goal in the comp.
I reckon Heaney is.
Heaney
is unbelievable with both feet. But Gunston, as a right foot, he's so reliable.
He holds it a bit differently too. He holds it a little bit more vertical.
Yeah. Yeah, he
with his
does. He's
drop.
got a really deliberate. He marks the ground as well on his
Yeah.
set shots, which
Yeah.
would bug me out. I reckon it would make me a bit nervous having to focus
cricketer.
on that spot. But he's got what 600 goals or so to his name. So he's in the All Australian conversation.
He's been unbelievable.
Believe it or not, because when he went to Brisbane, he was completely gone. He was cooked. So the Hawks are dangerous. Who have they got this week?
They got
got the D's. So that's got banana peel on it, but they should be a bit zippy for Melbourne.
Yeah. Yeah, they should
And
have
then
them
they've
covered.
got
And then they
Brisbane.
got Brisbane in
So
the
they've
last
still got
round.
work to do.
Yeah. Well, I think it's going to be I think they should have to beat Brisbane to win that, but I don't know.
So
Freo's still got a couple of
You think they
tough
probably
games as well.
have Brisbane to get in?
I think they need to beat Brisbane to get in, or they're going to miss. Although, no, the Giants, it comes back to this Giants-Suns game as well this week.
Yeah,
I've
okay.
got Giants beating the Suns.
There's still so much.
So if that happens and Freo beat Brisbane and Hawthorn beat Brisbane, does that mean they're on the outer?
well, Brisbane can
Yeah.
miss. Yeah,
Yeah,
And
Brisbane
that's-
can miss.
That's hard to fathom because at times they've looked like the best team in it. So there's so much. There are so many different
Yeah.
machinations. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Still,
Yeah. Do we want to talk about Rankin and Fogarty and some issues? That you're
yeah.
seeing there?
So like the game was closer than we thought. They got the job done, whatever. Maybe they're looking ahead to Collingwood, and that's, we've all played. Sometimes you can look forward without even knowing that you're doing it. But Rankin plays. I'm trying to get his splits from where he plays from Champion Data. He spent the first half as a forward, and admittedly the Crows jumped him, so they actually played well in the first quarter, but he wasn't involved. He had 3 touches at half time, and then he went and played midfield in the second half and had 20 disposals and kicked a goal and got him going. And in the call, I was wondering, just put him around the ball earlier. Don't wait for it to get a bit unnerving for you to then put him around the ball. Like get ahead of it. And a lot of the Crows fans on Twitter were saying to me, he blows up. Well, he didn't blow up playing full-time mid in the second half, or he needs to be managed so that he can get through to the end of the year. That's fine. Because he's effectively played half a game as a forward and half a game as a mid. So do that, but spread it out across the whole game. Don't play him as a full-time mid because it was getting a bit dire and you need to change things up. So his usage is interesting because good things happen when he gets the ball every single time.
Yeah.
And Darcy Fogarty, he started this season strong. He's been he's been off the boil. He got a shoulder injury, I want to say about round 8, and they thought he was going to miss a month. He missed 1 game. I wonder whether that just is bothering him. And now that sounds like an excuse, but when you get, and you know this, Patto, when you get an injury that you have to manage, the way you manage it is by skipping weights because you got a sore shoulder, and then you get deconditioned and you're not as strong and you're not powerful, or you skip training drills. So you skip the contested marking drill.
Yeah.
So therefore, when you go out and play, you've missed all that important stuff. So I wonder with him whether he's just missed too much important weights, important contested marking, because at the moment he's just not getting it done for them, and they need him to be like without Thilthorpe, they lose that game.
Yeah. Well, it probably needs this pre-finals bye, little cortisone jab in there. But I've had a sore shoulder all year, and you definitely notice it when you can't keep your strength work up as a key forward.
And that's his game, power and pushing people around, and it's just the confidence generally in his play is not there. He missed one from about 15 metres out directly in front early in the game, and he's one of the better set shots in the game. He just couldn't have a massive impact. He got a bit of the ball, kicked one late, but just can't have a big impact. Tex didn't play, so I thought he might have been able to step up. Thilthorpe got a weird knock, and it must have been a bit of a nerve issue.
Yeah.
He went off, and I know the Crows doctor, and he was making him do every test under the sun. I think we're all a bit skittish on the back of the Petrarca situation from last year. So he put him through every rigorous test he could possibly do, and thankfully he passed for Crows fans because he came back on and he was a difference in the game. Took some big marks, kicked some big goals, picked that one up off the ground in the goal square, kicked the goal on his left. So he might not win the argument about Thilthorpe versus Darcy, but there's no shame in running second to Sam Darcy.
Yeah.
The thrill seeker is an absolute superstar.
Yeah. And that any sort of nerve compression, like I'm inserting myself again with no footy, but I had a similar issue this year.
Right.
Where it had like numbness in my
Well,
fingers.
he was
And
he was doing the same.
it takes about a month for it to go away. So that's not something that's just going to clear up overnight.
Yeah, right. Well, it didn't worry him late in the game because he took some big
Yeah.
marks, kicked a big set shot from 55 and really sealed the deal for them. So thankfully for the Crows, he came back out in the park. They'll get Tex back this week for that big game. But, the rank and usage is something I want to follow. And then just whether Darcy Fogarty can get back to his best form for the Crows. Yeah. Otherwise, they're going well. Yeah.
What about the lines? They're a bit hard to read at the moment, but when they beat Collingwood and they've taken some huge scalps against the contenders, it's all about how good Logan Morris has been and how well that forward line's done without Joe. But then when they lose, it's all that doubt on can they go all the way now without their big spearhead key forward. Are we taking the $8 for the Lions to win the premiership right now? If we're still believers,
I'm still a believer. Now I think they've lost 2 of their past 3. They're zipping one with the Lachie Neale in the Lachie Neale-less era, so that's a concern because they've given us a loose timeline on his injury. He'll be back for finals, but it's a quad and it's no given. They've got an issue in the ruck. Darcy Fort's playing in the ruck. He's a great competitor, but that's pretty much what he is. Oscar McInerney's got some physical ailments and that's holding him back. They're just not getting much from my man Charlie Cameron. Hasn't done much this season. He's really struggled to hit the scoreboard. Eric Hipwood, he's been all right. Even against Collingwood, he was all right. Like, he was competing hard, but he's not – he doesn't hit the scoreboard. He's a bit like Dan McStay. Like, they're not natural goal scorers. 1 to sort of 1.4 a game is where those guys live.
Yeah.
Luckily, Morris is 2 and a bit a game because he's really kept them afloat. So even Morris on the weekend, like – he doesn't have a big game. He touches the ball 6 times, but he kicks 3 goals, 1. If that was Hipwood, he'd have 6 and wouldn't kick a goal. That's the difference there. So, they need Archie to really get up and about. He's got so much more power. I've spoken about Rayner as maybe their full forward out of the goal square because he's such a powerful player, can take overhead marks because I thought their midfield actually did okay without Neale. Ashcroft had 31. Dunkley had 31 and a goal. McCluggage had 30. Levi Ashcroft just reminded us in that Rising Star race, 27 and a goal. So I thought those guys played good footy, but it was a game where Isaac Heaney sort of separated.
Yeah.
He was the difference in the game.
I didn't see much of the game, but I saw some of the highlights of the Swans just chain, link up, bursting away from
and they're
stoppers,
playing
using their
free
speed.
as well.
Yeah,
the Swans,
they're playing daring footy.
They know they can't make it, so they're playing free footy. They're probably getting ahead of the game a little bit. Sometimes taking that chance that they're going to win the contest, and they are winning contests. Warner 26 and a couple. Goulden had the ball 30 times, and Heaney had 23 and 5. Like, he's had 3 or 4 of those games this year where he's had 20 plus and kicked multiple goals. So he was huge. Dunkley's a great matchup for him, but he just had a day out, Isaac Heaney. So, you guys know I'm all in on the Lions. I still think their best is the best. It would be hard to get your head around them missing the finals, but that's where they live. They've got a trip to Perth to play Freo and then Hawthorn to finish it off. If they drop both, they probably miss.
Yeah. Unbelievable, isn't it?
That's hard to believe.
Freo's a hard team to beat in Perth.
Yeah.
And even when they haven't been making the finals, Freo have knocked off the Lions a couple times in Perth over the last couple of years.
I remember one early last year.
Caleb Strong had 46 touches against them.
Wow.
When they knocked them off. 2019 was obviously 6 years ago, but Freo didn't make the finals. Brizzy make the top 4 and Freo knock them off again. So it's definitely a dangerous game.
It is a danger game. Oh, it's 50-50. I think it's genuine 50-50, that game.
It's hard to go back to back.
It is very hard to go back to back.
And the Lions have been up for a long time. I know they've got a good mix of youth and experience.
It is very hard.
The way the fixture is as a reigning champ, it feels like you have all these blockbuster games.
Well, everyone wants a piece of you.
Yeah. It's just hard to mentally keep getting up for
I think this will be a really big tell in terms of where Brisbane are at in regards to winning the premiership. I think they'll win one of the two and make it. But winning it from outside the 4 again, that's the thing with them.
Yeah.
They could. I think we all believe they're good enough to win both and finish top 4, and then all of a sudden, let's go.
Yeah.
There's a world where they still finish top 2, believe it or not. So they're 14.5 wins because of that draw against North. They have dropped some games that have been costly, but then equally, I'd have to check. But I think their road record would be as good as anyone's, maybe behind Freo.
Yeah, well, they beat the Cats.
They've beaten the Cats on the road. They've beaten Collingwood at the G. Now, maybe that doesn't look as good. Remember, there was a game against Hawthorn
At the G.
where we thought, okay, what version of Brisbane have we got? So they've got 3 or 4 unbelievable wins on the road. They're going to have to go and get another one, but they're capable. I'm not sure where their massive advantage is against Fremantle. That's interesting. Like Dunkley might go to Sarong and try and sit on him. I mean, I would. I'd try and take Sarong out of that contest and see whether they can win it elsewhere. Dunkley on Luke Jackson around the ball would be a good matchup because Jackson is just getting better and better.
Did they try Zach Bailey through the middle?
Not really. They used him on the wing a bit more. He got involved as the game went on. Like his numbers look good, but he kicked 2 goals in the last 2 minutes. So his numbers look good. I still think they should use him around the ball more. They used that same crew. Will Ashcroft started in there versus starting on the bench. So they used the same crew a little bit. And Bailey sort of got involved around the flank. So he's one I'd use more. I think he's got sort of Isaac Rankin levels in his game if they use him around the ball more.
And what do we make of moving on to the Bulldogs Demons game? The Astronauts having an incredible run, isn't he? And the big Sam Darcy with his Nick Rewalt mark going back. The Dogs tools just stood up when they needed to. But
just quickly on that mark, what mark do you rate higher? Ben King's from Saturday night or Sam Darcy's from Sunday Arvo? Both completely different. Ben King's the old-fashioned get up early.
King's mark looked better live, and then the more I saw it on replay, the less impressive it was.
There's a video of me in the background in the commentary box, absolutely carrying on like a pork chop.
Live, that's how good it felt.
I thought it was mark of the century.
Yeah.
But I don't think you can underestimate how impressive Sam Darcy running back with a flight, getting his legs taken out is.
I love the ones running back with the flight, personally. I think,
particularly in the moment to win the game and save the game.
Yeah. So I'd go that. But I was listening to the radio. The radio on SEN exploded when Ben King took that mark. It was
Johnny Donohoe nearly.
I was trying to work out what had happened.
He's a good yeller. He can yell at the best of them.
Yeah.
Astronaut, he's got to be in consideration for All Australian. So Jezza speaks for himself. They generally pick 2.5 or 3 tall forwards. So Jezza's in.
Is Darcy going to make it?
I don't think so. I think Thilthorpe is probably next in line.
Thilthorpe has to make it.
But then, so for that third forward spot, it's Gunston, it's Georgiades, it's Astronaut. Like that's probably the 3. And then Sam Darcy if he qualifies with enough games. But I don't think you can pick Darcy over those guys because they've got more of everything than him, except for maybe contested marks. I mean, Aaron Norton's season, now you can't, the knockers will say, well, he didn't touch the ball in the first part of the season. Well, that's the same argument you can make against Brodie Grundy.
Yeah.
Because he had a quiet start to the year as well. So if you look at...
I'm looking at the Coleman.
So he's kicked, he's going to kick 60 goals.
Yeah.
He's got 55 goals. So he's also top 10 for a lot of other key metrics like marks inside 50.
Yeah.
Pretty important stat for key forward. Contested marks, pretty important stat for key forwards.
Yeah.
So his numbers are outstanding. I think he's right there.
Yeah, that's a good argument. When you look at the numbers there, he's had 80 shots, 118 marks. And he's third in the Coleman behind Jezza and Ben King.
Yeah. Third in the game, third in the AFL for marks inside 50 going into the weekend. I haven't got the updated numbers. He's sixth in the AFL equal fifth in the AFL for contested marks. That was going into the weekend. He would have taken another few on the weekend. So he has to be in the mix.
Yeah, that's a good shout. I hadn't considered him, to be honest. So, looking at the numbers, I can't disagree
And that's
with
a big turnaround from about round 10 when he he simply couldn't touch the ball in the first part of the season. So the back half of his year has been gigantic.
Yeah.
So, it was a good game. It was, in a way, Luke Beveridge said it was one of the best wins he's ever been involved with. I'm thinking, geez, that's got to be a stretch.
I do like a comment. You mentioned before Matty Nix after the game saying, that was like a loss.
Yeah.
I feel
You
like
like the pump
that
up?
can be a bit disrespectful. Like the wins are hard, and just the psychology of what you're saying to your players after you come off with a win like that. I think can be good. But Bevo, I wonder whether he's got the Dogs thinking about the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, and he does play in that space.
Playing
a fair
the
bit.
games.
Ed Richards, massive game, 3 votes. He'll be thereabouts on Brownlow night. 31 disposals. 15 score involvements, 14 clearances, 6 inside 50s, 2 goal assists, 2 goals.
Yeah.
You don't play much better than that. I mean, Heaney's gone nuclear as well, but Bontempelli and Ed Richards completely dominant. Bailey Dale, 30 off half back. So, big game. Just quickly on the Ds. Petrarca's just going, isn't he? Like, his numbers look fine, 23 and a goal, but didn't feel like he had any impact in the game.
Yeah.
Not really playing centre bounce in big moments. Only laid a couple of tackles. His future at that club is interesting, I reckon.
Yeah, it's whether
He's
or not
a watch
they're
in the
prioritising Windsor and these types to go in and get that
Which
centre
is-
bounce attendance time.
Which don't you think?
knowing potentially if he's moving on, that would
Well,
make sense.
don't you think prioritising Windsor over certain players is a great idea, but not Petrarca?
Yeah.
Petrarca's supposed to still have 3 or 4 years of top-level footy for you. He's 29. He'll be 30 before the season starts, but we are now in the era of players still playing top-shelf footy at 33.
He's as professional as they come as well. So
and he's contracted for a long time.
Yeah.
So I just think don't be surprised if these two parties come together and say, let's do it properly and let's look for a suitor. He just doesn't look like someone who is locked in on his future. Like he looks like a player who might be just thinking about everything in the moment. So and his pure talent levels mean he has 23 and a goal, which we'd kill for.
I found the Melbourne coach discussion interesting around them seeing themselves as a potential contender and a team that can bounce back next year. But see, Adam Simpson and John Longmire have excused themselves from the process.
Yeah, I feel like Longmire's got his eyes on Tassie. Adam Simpson probably still getting paid by West Coast. Got plenty anyway.
Yeah. Just said he wasn't in the right headspace at the moment.
Yeah, I think I saw him quickly before the Cats Essendon game, and I just think he's quietly enjoying doing a bit of this and a bit of that, and still lives in Perth for the time being, flies back and forth. So he called the Geelong Essendon game and then drove to the airport, stayed at the airport, then flew back to Perth. So he's living a pretty good life at the moment. So I don't know why you would dive straight back into coaching. And it feels like Nathan Buckley's name is he and Melbourne are like feeling hand in glove at the moment.
Yeah.
So depends what you think of their list.
Yeah.
Because I spoke about this last week. Two very good journalists, John Ralph and Jared Waitley. Both now, the natural thing is to say, "Oh, the journalist got it wrong," but these guys are pretty good. Jared Waitley said Simon Goodwin played debutantes. He thought he was coaching for the future. The board thought they were a finals team. That's why he got sacked.
Yeah.
On the very next show on Fox Footy, half an hour later, John Ralph said Simon Goodwin was desperately telling the board they could make finals and they weren't far away. The board disagreed. Those two bits of information are the polar opposites. So even if the information from both journalists has come from the club is still unsure about where they sit.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think it's an interesting.
Now again, you can say, "Oh, one of the journalists is wrong," and maybe they are, but they have the reason John Ralph and Jared Waitley have these positions is because they have great sources.
Yeah, you need alignment clearly from the board and the footy department. But yeah, I mean, those decisions will determine what happens with the Petrarca types for next year. Whether they, if they still think they can bounce and make finals next year, then obviously
do you guys think they're good enough to make finals next year? Look,
I don't think they've got the worst list.
I shouldn't say contend.
Yeah.
I think if you look at the top 8 this year and how competitive, and one really good team is not going to make the finals.
Yeah.
You've got the Swans who played in the grand final and they've shown what they're capable of in the last 10 weeks. You've got Port who played in a prelim last year. They're probably going the other way. Carlton played in a prelim a couple of years ago. They'd be expecting to bounce back up next year. Is there any room for Melbourne in the top 8 next year?
And they're 6 games behind the Dogs.
Yeah.
They're 6 wins behind the Dogs. They've won 7 games for the year. So now you might get a spike, but it'll need to be a big spike because the Dogs might miss. So, if Melbourne win one more game for the year, I don't know who they play, but if they win one more, they get to 8.
Yeah.
And
Hawthorn and Collingwood.
Okay, no wins.
Yeah.
So if they finish on 7 and the finals, you have to win 15 to get in, they're not
fair
even
way off.
50% of the way there.
Yeah. I'd be thinking they don't need to completely rebuild and head back down to the bottom of the ladder. But I would be making some tough calls and getting some capital back now.
You've got to get
and,
some
and just have a clean slate.
Because I think they traded their first round pick last year. I don't think they've
As
got
it sits, their first pick is number 24.
Yeah.
And that'll get pushed out with the captains.
And you can get a good
Collison.
player. You can get a good player with 24.
Yeah.
But if
They traded it with Essendon.
if you move Petrarca and you get 2 picks inside 20 for him, maybe one this year, one into the future, and then all of a sudden, yes, you don't have Petrarca, but you go into the draft having pick 9 and 24, and all of a sudden you might get 2 good players. So, yeah, they've got some decisions to make, the Ds.
Yep. And Brownlow time. We're going to chat around.
Bring up the market
2
here.
games to go.
No point looking at the players I've backed because it's easy to go through the players I haven't backed.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, yeah, take us through it. So I've got the AFL Brownlow predictor here in front of me. But do you want to talk with, who, yeah.
Well,
haven't you
Dacos is a drifting favourite. He was like, to talk betting terms, and I know it doesn't suit everyone, he was odds on to win the Brownlow. So the markets were telling us he's better than a 50% chance to win the Brownlow. Now he's back out and only just favourite. So in terms of the betting, he's $3, Dawson's $4, and Anderson's $5. So it's very, very close. The one who has to be charging is Wanganeen Miller. Has to be.
Say.
They've won 3 straight. I'm pretty sure he's got 9 votes in those 3 games.
Yeah.
He hasn't played a bad game. He hasn't played a game that wouldn't have him in consideration for votes for God knows how long. I know they haven't won a lot of games.
They've won 8 games of footy, and you've said there he's probably got 9 the last 3. If you average, you can average it out because he would have got ones in earlier in the year. If you average out, he's getting 2 votes per St Kilda win. That's 16. And he's had 43 in a loss to Hawthorn. He's had 36 in 2 in a loss to the Cats.
He could have got 4 best ons the last 4 games.
36 in a goal in a loss to the Suns. He's had 24 and 3 in a loss to the Giants. So, and that was a close game as well.
He's
so
everything.
He could get best on in that game.
He's everything you want in a vote getter as well.
He stands out.
He
He's
stands out.
flashy.
He carries the ball. He takes bounces. He kicks it beautifully. He's been hitting the scoreboard. He's been playing midfield. I think he has to be on the charge. Rao's the other one who I've been on Anderson all year. He's the one I wanted to be with pre-season. He's been playing unbelievably. But I tell you what, Rao's proven as well. Anytime Rao gets 25 plus, he gets the votes.
He feels like a player that's going to win a Brownlow. Like he's the type of player, like clearance beast, in under the umpire's eyes.
I hadn't watched
Red hair a little bit different.
watched him live in a very long time. I watched him on the way he Carlton's midfield just could not keep up with him.
And he never used to be like that. He used to be head in the trough, like I'm just going to wrestle and scrap and fight and make the game so hard for himself. He'd have a great impact, but he used to be just one of those bulls in the trough, just butting heads with the opposition. Him and Cripps would just butt heads all day.
Yeah.
Well, on Saturday night, he just ran away from Cripps.
Yeah.
And that's a new element to his game. Look, I think the sprint training is probably a bit over the top. I mean, how much can that improve you? Some people will say lots. Who knows? I guess the proof's in the pudding. But he just ran away from the Carlton mids, as you said. Anderson was getting sat on. Ollie Lord, I think, did a good job on him.
Yep.
So he was sat on. It didn't matter. He just ran away from their best mids, and he's charging Cooper Lord. Who's Ollie Lord? Plays for Port. He was just doing a great job of charging away and carrying the Suns in that game. So all of a sudden, I think, the Brownlow, I think Dacos, obviously, Dawson, who we haven't mentioned.
Yeah.
Anderson, Rao.
Anderson, Rao take too many votes of each other.
Well, we've seen, was it West Coast who Quinella de Brownlow way back when? I think it was Cousins and Kerr might have Quinella de Brownlow. So it's been done.
Back when you could win with 21, 22 votes.
I think it'll come back big time this year.
Yeah.
I think we'll be sort of mid to high 20s this year. I think there'll be a correction.
I got on Hugh McCluggage at $101.
There's been votes for him in the past couple. Whether he gets any on the weekend, I'm not sure. But last week he would have been in the votes.
AFL Brownlow predictors got him at 23 votes at the moment, and Dacos and Dawson on 28.
Yeah. Yeah, so based on that, the winner's going to get about 30.
Yeah.
Around 30, maybe low 30. So Wanganeen Miller has been, like, when they start to drop the markets, most votes in the second half of the year. I think it'll be a short price Wanganeen Miller. The other one I want to mention is Max Holmes rather than Bailey Smith. Every time the Cats play well, Holmes has big numbers, big metres gain, and goals. It wouldn't surprise me if on the night you look back and you think, oh, Bailey Smith will get the most votes for the Cats, and Holmes is the one getting the votes. Yeah. It would not surprise me. He's $67 to win the Brownlow as well. It wouldn't surprise me. But if you had to make your pick, who would you land on? I can't jump off Anderson. I've been there all year.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't see it being anyone outside of Dacos, Dawson, Anderson, or Rowell. But so if you ask me to pick one, I think it's probably Nick's turn to get one. But he might need a best on just to solidify that in the next couple of weeks.
I'd agree.
Yeah.
Well, only 2 weeks ago we had 43-3 against Richmond.
Yeah, you can only get 3 votes for that. True. You can't get more. So we're quick to forget. But it might be a more exciting Brownlow than we thought.
Wanganeen Miller will make it interesting in the back end, hopefully.
If he's within 6 or 8 of the lead as we turn for home, look out.
Yeah.
Because I think they've got another. I think they've got 1 or 2. Their games.
They've got a winnable game this weekend. They got Essendon on Friday night.
Well, tell me he's not going to get votes in that. And then they finish off with the Giants? So that might be tough.
Yeah,
they might send someone to him, but
it'd be interesting to see whether he's made a decision by Brownlow night.
Yeah, well, I doubt he will have, because if he's leaving, he probably won't make one. But it's surprising it hasn't got out.
Yeah,
so maybe he hasn't decided.
Would his team kicking 8 goals in a game impact where he's deciding?
Well, maybe. I mean, they tell us that if he is leaving, it's to go to an equally sort of a team that's doesn't have a bright future either, if you ask me, at Port. So imagine if he arrives at Adelaide.
Yeah. Scary. All right, I think we've covered a fair bit there. I didn't actually have any best clubwomen this weekend, but I did notice that Tommy Sheridan on the Oz American Aces Instagram channel has called for a best nightclubman
As in someone who goes out a lot.
Someone who goes out a lot. So I think Tommy's maybe trying to piggyback a little bit off what he's seen on best clubwomen areas.
It's a saturated market. So I heard the Fireball boys trying to get stuck into everyone for stealing their stuff. It's a pretty saturated market.
It is. Yeah, there's a bit of 200 plus chat on
I heard
it. Kane, wasn't there?
They called it 200 Club.
Yes. Yeah, no doubt there'll be a response on the pod tonight.
My voice was in that audio snippet.
I heard it at the end, yeah. I heard that. So no clubbyman from you?
No clubbyman. And we've got a few weeks. And
Patto drives it. Maybe
only a couple of spots.
We can have a week off. Yep,
I think we can have a week off and see what Tommy Sheridan pulls out with his best nightclubbing. Let's chat some Cats. Let's bring in the Cats man.
Is my opinion on the Cats not valid enough?
It's a good point. No, we like mixing the.
All right, I'm all good. I'm not. I don't take offence to anything.
The expert with the everyday man. We're lucky enough to have the Cat man actually working for Clubby Sports. Benny Raimondo. Is it Raimondo or Raimondo?
Raimondo, yeah.
Ben Raimondo.
Sounds pretty similar to me.
Yeah, so Benny, for those who don't know, Benny is the hero behind the scenes here, editing all the clips, all the clips you see for Bigger Footy. JJ, all the great clips and all the work on the talk when Bigger Footy blows up is all due to this man's work. So Benny's been flying in here this year.
Thanks,
mate, talk me through Where do you see your beloved Cats at? And just give us a take. Like, what is the sentiment amongst the Geelong faithful?
I must say I'm quietly a bit nervous at the moment. I mean, we've had a pretty easy run. It was a big start. I think that gets overlooked a bit. They had a tough start to the year playing most of the top 8 teams, and now obviously gone home a bit softer. But I think this week will be a good challenge for us. It's well timed. Danger can come back in fresh. And I think we're looking good. I think there's a few tactical things that they're doing well and could be big moves for finals. One thing on the weekend and last weekend I thought stood out to me was Blitzarf's pushing forward a bit more, playing as that third role, which kind of reminds me of Gary Rowan, like taking the third defender, being dangerous, which worked well in finals gone past. So, yeah, I'm sort of nervous but also feeling optimistic.
Yeah.
I like the softer run in. I think we spoke about it last week. The teams like basically the rest of them, Brisbane, Collingwood, like their finals have already started because they are basically in a not a win or go home scenario, but they're in a win or if you lose, you really jeopardise something significant. The Cats have had a softish run. Sydney's probably the perfect level you want. Like it's going to be a difficult game. I think. They're potentially right for the upset there with Sydney in their form. No, Grundy is a big out for Sydney and helps the Cats massively. He would have really taken it to Reece and made his life difficult. Brian Myers is playing on ball as well, which has been interesting. I like the move. He kind of was already the way he was playing up the ground. So that's been an interesting move and one that's been successful. Great ball user. So I think the Cats are shaping up pretty well. Well. I like their soft run in because they know they've got to steal themselves once the final starts. So they can roll in, hopefully finish top 2, and even having to go on the road. They've beaten Adelaide in Adelaide, so they've got that behind them. So, yeah, they're in a good spot, the Cats. They're just going under the radar nicely, I reckon.
Yeah. How do you compare it, Benny, to the flag year of 22?
Yeah, something JJ just said kind of reminded me, like that famous thing that Chris Scott used to say about timing the run and that they'll be ready. There's no plan B. They've just got to be ready at the right moment. I think this year kind of makes me feel like this final series, the way it's shaping up, it could be another final series where the grand final is actually played before the grand final. Not to say that someone's going to get smashed on grand final day again, but I think some of the qualifying finals are going to be massive to determine who's there on the last day.
Yeah.
So hopefully if the Cats play well, and I think I saw a finals preview this morning that Cats get Gold Coast the first week. I think if that's at the G or even if they do scrape through for a GMHBA final, like that could be a really good start and it could set us up well for September.
It's bizarre that game would be at the MCG.
Yeah.
It would attract on a nice
65,
day.
70.
Oh, that's
it's
yeah,
pushing it.
maybe.
You get all the Geelong fans though, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Surely
You'd
they'd
get,
travel
I
up.
reckon you'd get 60.
Yeah.
Which is 20 odd more, 25 more than GMHBA can hold. But I think it's laughable you can't play home finals. Just like I think it's laughable that the Dogs would have to play a home final at the MCG against anyone. Their home ground is Marvel. So story for another day. But they're set well. Sam de Koning's worries me. His form's been just a bit off. Even last Friday night, he was playing on the young fella McMahon, who kicked 4 goals. Now, they weren't sort of all against Sam, and it wasn't like he was out marking him and whatever, but his form just worries me a little bit. O'Sullivan's playing good footy back there. We've got Stewart. Zach Guthrie, I think, is the most improved player I've ever seen. So they're pretty stable behind the ball. Haven't got too many weaknesses, that's for sure.
Yeah. I just see them as a well-drilled side. Well, great structure, awesome coach. I think on their day, you know, they just know how to take different phases and tempos into any game, and are able to score a multitude of different ways, whether it's been fast or slow. So if you cop Gold Coast, if Gold Coast is the matchup in the qualifying final, surely you'd be confident of knocking them off.
Yeah, you'd have to be. Yeah, it'd be interesting around the ball though. Gold Coast are pretty dynamic around the ball. Shane Mullen would tag one of Anderson or Rao. The Blues on the weekend decided to tag Anderson, and Rao went crazy.
Yeah.
I think that was probably the way to go once upon a time with the Suns because Rao was sort of
Yeah.
in and under, but now he runs and guns as well. So it'll be fascinating. And then dependent on how Holmes goes. He hasn't been tagged for a while.
Yeah.
But when he was tagged, he was struggling with that. So that's going to come back at some stage in the finals. He's going to have to overcome that as well. So that's the other point. I think their game is rock solid. Their midfield is rock solid. They've got the dangerous forward. Stengel's form's a bit off. He's about the only one in the front half that's a bit off. But like Manor and those guys are playing great footy. Dempsey got back to some form the other night as well. So their game is in good shape. Whether they're good enough remains to be seen.
Yeah.
I've got a two-pronged question for you actually about Bailey Smith.
Yep.
So obviously in finals, it's going to be huge for him. A lot of the spotlight's going to be on him. One thing I'm slightly concerned about, or two things actually. One is his disposal efficiency, which has been sitting in the 60 to 70% mark, which is not great. But does that matter in finals is the first question, or is it more of a get some territory? And the second question is, do we see a situation where we know he kind of thrives on that like limelight and the controversy, like I think of Easter Monday when he hit Impey with the ball, then he was public enemy number one, but then he played amazing. Do we think that could come back to hurt us? Because I can just see something going wrong. And, you know, you don't want to give teams any extra motivation in finals. So does something like that does it cost Geelong or does it help because it gets him going?
I think Chris is a master at keeping that stuff in check. He'll be ahead of the game on that. Like he's ahead of the conversation when it comes to that. In regards to his ball use, I think when he needs to hit the targets, he's pretty good. He's pretty reliable. And if you ask any of the forwards that play with him, they don't care that much that it's not always pinpoint. They just care that it comes fast.
Yeah.
And I think in finals, if you think about the running capability of the Cats and the guys like Close and Manor and Stengel and Jezza even who can get back to goal and run, Shannon Neal's always got an athletic advantage against his opponent as well. As long as you can get it in there fast with some depth, even get it on the grass out the back, that's a great option for the Cats, and he can do that. So I think his disposal efficiency or his inefficiency is largely overblown. I accept the fact he misses some kicks he should kick, but show me a player who doesn't. I think the fact that he just gets it, runs 10, kicks at 55, that's more valuable than the kicks that he potentially misses.
Yeah. I've noticed in some of the games lately, some of these ones that are shaping the 8, it's becoming more of that finals pressure and that long kick, to contest in the territory game. And Geelong set up behind the footy better than anyone. So I think if they can equalise stoppages against a side like Gold Coast, then I think and get the time in front half, then Cats will be well placed against the Suns. But Bailey Smith, it'd be nice for him to step up and have a big moment.
It's exciting.
It is. Yeah, they're right there. They're right there. Absolutely.
All right. Well,
Two
anyone you're
clubs down.
scared of? Anyone you're scared of? Who do you not want to
What would
play?
be the worst matchup, you reckon?
Worst matchup.
Well, being in an elimination final would be
That wouldn't be good.
annoying in itself. But
I think Brisbane in a prelim, I don't want to see that again. I didn't like it last year. I don't want to see that happen.
Brisbane really went down there and laid the wood on the Cats, didn't they, at GMHBA Stadium? That was not that long ago. So, they're a difficult matchup for the Cats for whatever reason. Some teams just are. But I think their game's in good shape, the Cats. I don't think they're the best team in it, but they might be the most reliable.
I like that.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Benny. It's good to check in on the Cats faithful. So best of luck, mate, over the next 6 weeks.
Thanks, Patto.
You haven't been starved of opportunities down at Geelong, but hey, it's
Another one's on the horizon.
Yeah. Good luck.
Thanks, boys.
Thanks, mate. All right, there we go. We've got the Cat Man on there.
The Cat Man.
We're happy with that. Old Benny.
No, it was good. He was in touch with any issues that might be there. There aren't many. I just wonder whether their ceiling is going to be high enough to win it. But you wouldn't count them out. So anyhow, round 23, big round of footy. We've got a doubleheader Friday night. The good game's late, 20 past 8, so that'll be good. You and I will be staying up late before a big trip up to some local footy, which is no good. Expansion Cup, 12:30. There's a lot riding on that. I'll be watching that as we warm up for footy. And then Saturday night, Adelaide Collingwood, we know that's gigantic. And then the banana peel game for the Cats on Sunday. Actually, I would have tipped the Swans head-to-head in that game if Grundy was playing. So that's a big little favour for the Cats. So big weekend of footy. Can't wait for it.
Yeah, no, it should be good. I think the those Div 2 teams probably would have liked to finish on that note on the weekend and Monday today. But
it's a big, long off-season. So anyone listening from those bottom 9 teams, just hang tough.
Yeah.
Two more games because come January 25, you'll be begging to play a game of footy.
Yeah, exactly.
So dig in.
Dig in, enjoy it. There's probably a couple of farewells, retirements, or some players
There's always
playing for
a
a list
reason.
spot. So
Plenty of people in this country would kill for one AFL game.
yes, exactly. But no, I can't wait for this weekend. It'll be interesting to see whether Collingwood can bounce back and respond, because that will really determine whether they're going to make the top 4. So all eyes will be on that. And yeah, Giants really need this win against the Suns.
So do the Lions, so do the Dockers.
Yeah, I know. Just got to keep winning. So, thanks for joining us. Link, well done. You've been amazing.
Thanks,
Good work.
Well done, JJ. We'll be back next week. I hope everyone has a good week.